All right, blessings. Welcome to Congregation Rehoboth. Um, we are so glad that you've chosen to join us for worship and Bible study tonight. And we're going to have a good time tonight, guys. I'm looking forward to um, sharing the word. I'm looking forward to what the scriptures are going to teach us tonight. And so, if you can do me a favor, if you can go to the book of Philippians chapter 2. Brother Mark has been in this series on Shabbat. And I'm just giving a little bit of background on Philippians 2. And so, actually not Philippians 2, but a particular verse in Philippians that I want to deal with. So we can go to Philippians chapter 2 first and verse 5. Then if someone else can, or actually go to Matthew chapter 2 and verse 11. All right, so Philippians chapter 2. And we're going to start with verse 5. Word of Yah reads. Let me share this screen here. And thank you guys for being patient with us as we transition from Zoom to StreamYard. So grateful. All right, here we go. Philippians 2 and 5. It says, let this mind, and really, guys, to understand the full context, you would need to go back to verse 1. So let me just do that. If there be therefore any consolation in the Messiah, that's what this word means, the anointed, the Messiah. If any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels of mercy, fulfill ye my joy, Paul is saying, that ye be like-minded, having the same line, having the same love, being on one accord and of one mind. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each one of us esteem or build the other one up better than we do ourselves. Look not on every man on his own things. So don't just look in your own backyard, but every person also on the things of others. Don't just be concerned about you not having enough food, but make sure that your brother or sister has enough as well. Don't be stingy. Now he said, let this mind be in you, which was also in Yeshua HaMashiach, who, being in the form of Yah, thought it not robbery to be equal. Now, I'm going to come back after this series, and I'm going to deal specifically with verse 6, because from my studies, guys, the oldest manuscripts, they don't have this word not. Some of the older manuscripts don't have this word not here. And so that's telling, not about the word of Yah, but about the translators. See, we got to understand that there's a difference between the process of translating something. And I thought I had my book here with me. I don't think I have it. But there's a difference. We're going to get into that. But in the oldest manuscripts, I'm going to show you, in the Greek, does not have this word not. So if you read it, I'm not going to read it differently tonight, but you to read this differently. Who, being in the form of God, thought it robbery to be equal with Yah. That's a whole different meaning, isn't it? It's a whole 180. But made himself of no reputation and took upon him the form of a servant and was made in the likeness of men, and being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Wherefore, God also hath highly exalted him. Who exalted him? God has highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every other name. Okay? It's very important. These verses are super important. These verses are super important, guys, because look at who's doing the giving of the name. And whenever in Scripture you see someone giving or changing the name, it shows a position of authority over that individual. I'm going to go with me here. Verse 10, that at the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, every knee shall bow. That means worship. This word bow here, as we're going to see, it means to worship. Every knee is going to worship of things in heaven and things in the earth and things under the earth. Not the name of Buddha, not the name of Muhammad. Okay? Verse 11, finally, and that every tongue, that means every language, is going to confess that Yeshua HaMashiach is the Lord, to the glory of Yah, the Father. So tonight, guys, I want to deal with verse 6, as it's written here in the English. Okay? Who, being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to consider himself equal with Yah. And then verse 10, that at the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, every knee is going to bow. Remember, that's worship. Of the things that are in heaven, they're going to bow. Things that are on the earth are going to bow. And things that are under the earth and the water are going to bow also. So tonight, guys, we're dealing with part 2 of our lesson. What Congregation Rehoboth believes about, and the series is called The Godhead. What do we believe about the Godhead? And so tonight's lesson, should we worship Yeshua, the Father, and or the Ruach Kodesh? All right. And so we're gonna jump right into this, guys, because this is very I don't want to say controversial, but very important for us to know what we believe concerning this, not just to agree. Okay. Now let's leave off the Ruach Kodesh until later. We'll get back to the Ruach Kodesh. But I want to just deal with Yeshua and the Father, or Abba. Should we worship both? So, a question for you guys. Let's say you. Should we worship both? Should we give the same worship that we give to Abba Yah? Should we give that same worship to Yeshua HaMashiach? What do you guys say? What do you do?
To be honest, I always have had this question in my head because I know, like, in a traditional Christian church, I feel, that's my own opinion, that they don't really mention, like, God the Father that much. It's more focused on Jesus. And everything is to Jesus. And I think that, yeah, God, I don't know, because I don't believe in all the Trinity stuff. So I don't know, Pastor Benz, but I'm happy you teaching on this because I have questions. But I think that God the Father, Yah, is to be worshipped because he is the creator, and that Yeshua is Yah. I don't know. This is my indoctrination from the Christian church coming in.
But sister, I'm glad you being honest with how the Christian church has completely messed this up.
Yes, I'm like, but I think that Yeshua is Yah's spirit is inside him. I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
That's good,
I,
honest, good,
can I jump?
honest. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can I jump in?
Absolutely.
So I think you asked more than one question initially. So I would like to say that I think we should worship Yeshua and the Father. Um, should it be the same type of worship? That much I am uncertain, because
Okay.
even in the scripture that was just read, you made it known in the beginning, the initial um scripture, what was it, 5?
Verse 2, Philippians 2,
Right.
verse 6.
You'll be in the form of God did not consider. You said that word did not consider it robbery. The word not wasn't in the original text, right?
I'm going to
So
show you
that
in
was
some of the older manuscripts that the word not is not in
right.
there.
So he and Yeshua even considers himself a servant, and he said he humbled down, and even though he could have saved himself or called to the Father to save him, he did the will of his Father. So there's all these dynamics. There's this hierarchy and there's this not hierarchy. Like they equal, but they not, because even Yeshua himself bows down to his Father to say, hey, not so me, but it's the Father's will that I'm trying to complete. So I would agree that yes, we should worship him, and it says right here in the text that every knee and every tongue is going to bow to him because he humbled down.
Okay, now I don't know if you guys remember last week. Oh guys, can you send the streaming yard to Sister Ross? Could someone do that, please?
Yes.
So if you remember last week, my ultimate question that I wanted us to, when anyone asks a question like this, and no one did it, some people, maybe you forgot. When someone asks a question like that, like I just asked, first thing you gotta ask is definitions, man. In order to have a conversation with anyone, we have to agree on what the definitions of the words are. We can't assume that we're talking about the same thing. In casual conversation, okay, now Sister Brandy's bringing up a point about Yah and Yeshua being one. Now we have to ask, well, what does that mean to be one? Does it mean one in purpose? Does it mean one in their nature? And then if it means one in their nature, does it mean their character, their personality? Does it mean, one in the power that they have? Okay. And so I want you to think of, these are awesome questions that we're going to definitely deal with. But whenever someone is asking you guys any type of question about the Bible or really anything, first thing you need to do is stop and back up and then look for the key words that were being used and ask them, what is the definition? What do they mean by that? Do that, guys. Don't let someone just run up on you, bust you down with a question, and then you assume that that you guys understand the same meaning regarding the question. Make them define what they mean. And I guarantee you guys, once you start asking people to do that, they'll be like, well, I don't know, shoot. Okay, I'm trying to tell you, people ask questions and they use words, they have no idea what they're talking about. And so this is a skill. This is a biblical skill that I'm going to show you that Yeshua even used. I'm gonna show you. So please write this down. Please jot this down. Hang this on the lines of your mind and let the Ruach blow on it, please. Okay, do not forget to ask definitions. Key words, man. So Jesus says here, Jesus says, I pray to the Father, mostly. At times I'll give thanks to Yeshua and pray to him. I mean, who did Yeshua pray to? So I feel praying to the Father is very important. I'm a baby Christian, so I'm not really sure. But even so, Brother Jesus, these are very awesome points you're making. And we're going to jump right. You're going to get into all of these at the end of this series. So that's a key thing, guys. Definitions. Please ask, what do you mean by? Okay, that's going to be a huge part of our understanding and our approach. Okay, please start using. Please start using this. And I put the little ellipses there because you can fill that in with anything. Okay, if I'm asking you about abortion, there's different kinds of abortion, guys. Okay, don't assume it's one kind. And now I see I get sidetracked so much. Okay, so let's get into this lesson. You're gonna need your pens, guys. You're gonna need to write down various things that I'm gonna be showing you on the screen here. You're gonna need to have those things written out. And I mean, I hope that you'll write them as if you want to learn tonight. So the first thing you should write is there are 12, based on my study, there are at least 12 different words for worship in the Brit Hadashah. There's 12 in the Brit Hadashah. Okay. Now, some of these words are equivalent in the Hebrew, but then there are some words in the Hebrew that are different from the Greek words. And so we're going to definitely take a look at those as well. Maybe not tonight because we got a lot to cover tonight. We're just going to start with the Brit Hadashah tonight. Okay. So there are 12. Number 1. Hold on a second. That's a message here. Okay, cool. So the first word, guys, for worship in the Brit Hadashah that we're going to look at, let's see. Start down here. This one right here. Okay, so this word, the way you pronounce it, the root is proskuneo. So I'm going to put this in the chat, in the private chat, in the English transliteration. Proskuneo. So if you look in the chat, you'll see how to pronounce this word. I know it's in the Greek, so I'll put it up here for us also. Proskuneo. I'll put the other one back up so you can copy it. Proskuneo. That's the first word for worship. Sorry. That's the first word for worship right here. It's used 9 times. Hold on, that's not the one. That's the one. Oh, here it is. It's right here. Proskuneo. It's right there. Okay. Do you guys see it? Did you write the definition? The definition is supremely important right now. Okay. So do you see what that means? Proskuneo.
Yes.
And let me show you something. So we're at Matthew 2. I'm going to show you where proskuneo is used. Okay. Now watch this. Go to Matthew 2, verse 2. And this is going to be very important to our learning, guys. Because when someone says or asks you a question like, are we supposed to worship Abba Yah and Yeshua? First thing you want to ask them is, well, what do you mean by worship? So you can see the definition from worship here is used 60 times, and it's only used in 54 verses. Look what it means: to kiss the hand, to do obeisance, a gesture of expressing deferential respect, such as a bow or curtsy, to prostrate oneself. Okay? So go to verse 2. It says this saying, you can read verse 1. Verse 1 says this. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men. How many wise men were there? Don't say 3. From the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and we are come to do what? To worship him. Now, we don't know who these men are. So now we have to say, based on the definition that we have, which one? Now remember, he's a baby. Did they come to prostrate themselves before him? Look at the definition, and I want you guys to tell me, which one do you think they did based on the definition?
Bow or curtsy.
Okay. Anyone else?
I mean, or prostrate, because if you bow, you're not prostrating all the way by bowing or curtsying. But if you go all the way down to the ground, then you're prostrating yourself. So it can be considered a bow as well.
I would actually pick the one that is showing deferential respect.
What does that mean exactly?
They're showing that respect. So we know what respect means, right? And so deferential respect means that I'm giving a respect because I have an ultimate level. I recognize that there's a different level between myself and this other person. They're on a totally different level. And so because of their level, because of their position, I'm going to defer to them. Okay?
So bringing the gift was a form of showing the expression of deferential respect.
Yes.
To a newborn infant.
Absolutely.
You don't think they might bow as well?
I mean, it's possible, but when you look at what it says here, where is he that is born king? So they understood the prophecies that were in the Tanakh and had a level of respect that forced them to bring the gifts out of respect for his position, even as a baby, a newborn baby. Now we're going to get to a verse that shows that they an actual bowing. So that's in verse 2.
So
that's
wait, Pastor Benz, you're saying that proskuneo word is G4352?
Yes. Yes.
So,
See, okay. Sister Brandy, thank you for bringing that up. Please write these code, like Sister Brandy said, please write these words down next to, or not letter, but numbers down next to proskuneo. Thank you, sister.
so that means anytime we see the G4352, it means proskuneo, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Or, sister, some form of proskuneo, like you see here, this word here, it doesn't say proskuneo because it's inflected. Or in other words, they have conjugated it to fit in the sentence. So this word proskunei, it's conjugated to fit in the sentence. So if you look this word up, it'll tell you all the different ways that it's conjugated. In other words, whether it's in the present tense, whether it's in the past tense, future, whether it's plural, singular, what kind of a verb is it? They're going to explain that. That's why it's proskunei, proskunisai. But the root is proskuneo. All right.
So I have another question about, like, okay, so in the definition that you gave us, it says gestures expressing the differential respect, and then it says such as a bow or a curtsy.
Right.
So, so you're saying that if they didn't if they would say they wouldn't have gave the gifts, because we know they brought the myrrh and the frankincense and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were just coming, they wouldn't bow, because if that's the king,
Right.
you would bow before the king.
Thank you for that, because I was looking at that too. If it says it's a gesture and they're giving the example being such as to bow or curtsy, I think that's one of the reasons why I would say that as well.
Oh, no, that's definitely reasonable to come to that conclusion. But also, it's not just, it didn't say a gesture like bowing. There are various kinds of gestures that will show this kind of worship, proskuneo. Now, here's a key. In some contexts, it will be, which I'm going to show you. It was a strictly bowing. It's not bringing the gifts. The context tells us that they brought gifts, which was the gesture of worship. And that's backed up also. If we look at, let's see. Where is that at? That is in, hold on. Where, I know the passage. Oh yeah, okay, let me go there. Let me see. Watch this, guys. Because these are awesome. This is how we study. This is how we learn to come to the conclusion. Proverbs 18, and I think it's verse 16. Y'all probably know this one. Oh, yes. Now watch this. People used to see, what does this passage mean? A man's gift maketh room for him and bringeth him before great men. What does that mean? Now, people used to use this saying that, oh, your singing gift, your preaching gift, your spiritual gift is going to bring you before great people. You're going be in front of presidents and kings and all this stuff. That is not what it's talking about here.
Are you sharing something?
Sorry. Verse 16 says, a man's gift makes room for him. You guys have heard this being used when someone can sing well, they can preach, or whatever spiritual gift they have. They'll say, oh, girl, oh, man, your gift is going to make room for you. It's going to open up the doors. You're going to be invited here. That has nothing to do with what this passage is talking about. What this passage is talking about is in connection regarding the gift. The gift making room for you simply means that when you go in front of royalty, when you go in front of all these people, your gift is going to be looked at as a sign of showing this person respect. And you will be known for having respect for people who are great. If you bring gifts, if you bring this gift, not your spiritual abilities, completely wrong interpretation. Now, let's get back to our text. Now, could it be a bow? It could. But the specific gesture that is spoken of.
Change the share.
The specific, thank you, the specific gesture that is spoken of is the gift that they brought. The gifts, I should say, that they brought. Okay? And we know that these gifts were what? What were the gifts that they brought to the king?
I don't think it was specified.
Oh, yes, it was.
Frankincense and myrrh.
Mm-hmm. They also brought gold, too. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Yeah. And remember, people use those three gifts to say, oh, it was three wise men.
That's what wasn't specified. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay. So it wasn't three wise men. It was a group. It was an entourage of people that came. All right. Now watch this. This is so just ridiculous. For three people to have gold, frankincense, and myrrh on a road going to meet the king in Jerusalem, that's just like going to the hood. I mean, flashing and styling and doing all that stuff. You just walking out there with gold and bling all up. You're going to get jacked, dog. Okay? And so, no, it wasn't just three men. Now watch this. I want to show you another proskuneo. Go to verse 8. Let's go to verse 8. It says this, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And when you have found him, bring me word again that I might come and worship him also. Now watch this. Who's speaking right here?
King Herod.
King Herod. Tells you right here in verse 7, context. Then Herod, when he had privately called those men, he inquired of them diligently, what time did the star appear? All right. And so now remember, Herod is a Roman. He's the Caesar, right? And so we know that he was not he didn't worry. Herod wasn't going to prostrate himself before no baby, right? He wasn't going to lay down. No, he wasn't going to do that. He wasn't going to kiss.
That was the same proskuneo you said that Herod said?
Same word. See right here? Same word. Verse 8. Proskuneo. Same word. So now we have to ask ourselves, how do we interpret this now? Because now we can say, well, Herod worshiped Jesus too. So the question again, what do you mean by worship? Okay, guys, we got to do that. We got to do that. Now, let's drop down to verse 11 because I want to show you one more thing. Verse 11. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother. And watch this. They fell down. They fell down and they worshiped him. Okay, now watch this. Now, verse 11. Verse 11. Now we can take this word worship, and in the context of the passage, we know that they didn't show, this kind of gesture was that they actually fell down. They prostrated themselves. Do you guys see that? I'm going to take that as a yes. Now, let me go to the second word for worship. They're a little bit out of order, sorry. This second word for worship, guys, I hope you guys are going to write this down. Second word for worship. I see people commenting in the private chat here. Okay, guys, you got to talk to me because I'm not going to always be looking in the chat. It's easier when I'm asking a question. I'm not trying to correct or anything like that. I'm just trying to make it flow smoothly. But I can't always check the chat because it's too much. I got too much going on with the clicking. And so it's easier to just talk to me. Just talk to me. Okay.
So what is the pronunciation and spelling of this second worship, please?
Okay, I haven't given it yet, but I'm going to give it right now. Okay. Okay, so this word is Santes. I'm going to give it right there. Hold on. So here's the second one. It's used 9 times in 9 verses. To descend from a high place to a lower place. To descend from an erect to a prostrate position. To prostrate oneself. Used of suppliants and persons rendering. Now let me finish that definition for you. Finish it for you because it too many words. Homage.
Do you have a transliterated spelling?
Yeah, I do. I surely do. It's right there. And then you can see up here on the screen that homage or worship to one or to a person. Okay. So this one is a little bit more than just bowing or showing a gesture. Okay. It's a little bit more. Because now it's saying you're showing homage and you're worshiping this one individual. Okay. And so in Matthew 2:11, not only do we have the word worship where this word here where they showed a gesture of respect. Now it tells us what the actual gesture of respect is. Okay, in verse 2, it was bringing a gift, but in verse 11, they actually fell down. Are y'all with me? Now, do you see the difference between these two words? Now, you're going to see two words. One is prasantes, and then let me change it because there's another one. Or tiptoe. Okay, so it's not just prasantes, but it can also be rendered tiptoe. Okay, that's the second word in the Greek there, tiptoe. So we've got two different words for worship. Now let me show you a different passage now with this second word for worship. Let's go to Matthew 4:9. Okay, and I'm going to go over here to the context.
He was being tempted by the devil.
Come on now.
On the mountain, he showed them all the land.
Yes. So now you guys are. So now we have in Matthew 4:9, we have Yeshua telling who? The enemy, that he has to bow down. What does it say, bow down? Yep. But the enemy is telling Yeshua, he says, wait, if you would just bow down and worship. In other words, if you would just do this second form of worship. Okay, he's using this word here. Okay. And worship me.
So, Pastor.
Yes.
When we sing that song, bow down and worship him, who are we speaking about? Are we speaking about Yeshua? Or are we speaking about Yah? Are we speaking about both? This is holy ground. It's bow down and worship him.
Right. Pronoun. You see that pronoun?
Worship him. I know, but worship him.
Mm-hmm.
Who is him? The Father or the Son. It's two hymns, or it's one hymn.
See, that's the problem with pronoun gospel songs and watered down gospel songs. You don't really know who you're talking to. Now watch this. Some people could be worshiping during that. They could be worshiping a man. They could be worshiping the enemy.
Oh, don't make it R&B. No.
Okay. So you guys see how that's used. The enemy wanted Yeshua to fall down, to show him a gesture of respect. Do you see that? Now, here's another key that we need to understand as well. This word here, when he says bow down and worship me, guess what word that is? That one.
$4352.
Yes. Indeed. So now he's saying, I want you to use, so he says, bow down, fall down. Hold on, that's not the one. He wanted him to fall down. Okay, 4098. That's a completely different word, right? That's this one, pasantes. Okay. And so we know that the devil wanted Yeshua to show him he wanted him to come down from a lofty, remember, he wanted him to come down from his higher place to a lower place. And then show the gesture. Come on and go with me here. Show the gesture of prostrating himself. Not giving a gift, but of prostrating. So in this particular context, it means exactly what you guys were saying earlier. Like Sister Brandy and Sister Benz were saying earlier. Okay? So we know that we have two different words for worship now. Okay? We have pasantes or pipto. It's used 9 times. And it's G4098. You need to write this down next to those words. Now let's look at some other words. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. Now, what about in this context? Verses 26 and 29, they use the word worshiped again. So now we have to say, what I want you guys to do is write these verses down, and I want you to figure out what worship means here. Which worship is he talking about? Is it proskuneo? Which one is it?
I'm sorry, which one do you want us to write down? Matthew 18, 26, 29, and 26, 39?
Just this one here.
Thank you.
So it has fall down, 4098, but then it has worship over here. And so just like I found out what this word worship meant, it's 4325, which we know is proskuneo. I want you to find out in blue letter what this word worship means. Is it the same? Is it a different? Is it 4325 proskuneo, or is it a different one? Now watch this. Matthew 26 and 39. Now we're gonna need to go to context, guys. See, this is where you gotta be in love with the word to study like this, because it's tedious. This is not some quickie. You're not gonna get a quickie over here if you really want to get the scriptures right. You got to spend time. Fellas, come on. Y'all know Mark, Brother Mark, we married, right? You can't just come in, wham, bam, thank you, man, I'm done with studying. No. You got to make love to the scriptures. Okay, that means you got to have some foreplay going on. You got to spend some time prepping, getting ready for it. Come on and go with me here. So if you look at the context, this is in the Garden of Gethsemane. Remember that? And he went a little further, speaking of Yeshua. He fell on his face. Are y'all with me? And then he prayed, saying, so watch this. The word fell right here. You can see it over here. The word fell. Same word here. 4098, which is he prostrated himself, right? That's what the text says. But see, this time he prayed, saying, "Oh, my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me, but nevertheless, thy will be done." And so here we have Yeshua worshiping in the form of prayer. Oh, come on, y'all. Come on. Because this word actually means worship.
Where it says prayed in 26:39. That's a different proskuneu, right?
No, this word pray is a separate thing that he's doing. But when he fell down on his face, that is a form of prostrating himself, which is a form of worship. Because remember, it's pasantes or pipto, which is another word for worship. And what Yeshua was doing here is that he was worshiping Yah, the Father, by prostrating himself and praying to him. He literally prayed because we see the words that he said, "Oh, my Father." This was his prayer, his short prayer. But at the same time, he was worshiping. So you can worship while you pray.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't praying a form of worship?
Absolutely. And Yeshua shows us here. 100%. Now, remember Jairus' daughter who fell sick? The father came, saw Yeshua, worshiped him at his feet. Then he made his request be made known. Could you come heal my daughter? Okay, Mark 14, Garden of Gethsemane also. Now, Luke 5 and 12 is a man full of leprosy. When he saw Yeshua, he fell on his face. And then he made his request be known. He besought him, saying, "Can you make me clean? You heal me." He worshiped him. Okay? So we see that. And we know that this word worship, pasantes, is completely different. It is to descend from a higher place, like Yeshua, like the enemy wanted Yeshua to do. Yeshua didn't prostrate himself. The enemy didn't want him to prostrate himself before him. He didn't need that. What he needed him to do by worshiping him, he needed to take his high place that he was at and then descend to a lower place, which would be a form of worship. He didn't want Yeshua to bow down to him or present himself prostrate. He wanted Yeshua to come down from his high, lofty place to a low place. Are y'all with me? Let me give you the third word. Here's the third one. Completely different words, guys. You see this? Here's the transliteration. Latria. I'll write them in for you. I'll write them in. Don't worry. Hold on. They may not allow me to. So let me just do this. I'm going to do this. This is very interesting stuff. I don't know about you, but this is super interesting to me. Okay. Trail. And then the second one is traces. See it. Okay, so there's our third one. Number 3. Now this one, guys, hold on. Let me add something to it. It's G. Completely different word. You see that? It's G3000. Completely different word. That's number 3. Latreo and latrasis. Okay? To serve in a priestly or sacrificial manner. Now, you may say, Pastor Dennis, that doesn't seem like some New Testament. Well, it's in the Old too. It's in the Tanakh. But I'm going to show you where it's in the Brit Hadashah as well. And we're going to start there first. Bang. Matthew 4:10 again. Okay. You see that Matthew 4:10? And it's the word serve. Okay. So it goes with our definition. To serve in a priestly or sacrificial manner. But here's the word worship again. Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him alone shall you worship in the form of serving. Now, for Matthew 4:10, please write that verse down, because I want you to find out what is this word here. Worship. Okay. Now you guys see this. 3 different words that we've come across. And I want you guys to master these definitions. You have to know what these definitions mean in their context. So you know when you see G3000, that's serving all day. Okay? All day serving. Here it says worship specifically. Now go to Acts 7:42. I want to show you something because it doesn't always say serve. Okay? It's not going to always say serve. That's why you need to do your own study. So Acts 7:42.
Hey, Pastor Benz, I found the word for worship in Matthew 4:10.
Hold on, don't share because it's homework.
All right,
Blessings, though. I know you see it.
Yes, sir.
It's interesting how, though, even though it's that word that you found,
Correct.
there's a more it gets specific in how that's done.
Got you.
Yep. Now, this is going to be very important in our life, because some of us who don't serve, who don't do this one, you may just go to church, but that's not serving him, as we're going to see. And that's not worshiping him. 7:42. So let's give a little context. Verse 38. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel, which spoke unto him in Mount Sinai, and with our fathers who received the lively oracles to give unto us, to whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him out from them, and in their hearts turned back again into Egypt. Now we're going to get into this word. I'm not sure we're going to.
Can you change the screen, please?
Tonight. Okay. Sorry about that. To whom our fathers, verse 39, will not obey, but thrust them out from them, and in their hearts turn back again to Egypt, saying unto Aaron, make us gods to go before us. Watch this. For as for this Moses dude, which brought us up out of Egypt, we don't even know what's become of this dude. We don't even know where he at. What's going on? Oh, sister, so we're on word 3 right now. So this is the third Greek word for worship. And I put the pronunciation right after each Greek word. It's a G3000. And now we're seeing the use of it in Acts chapter 7, 38 through 42. So verse 41. And they made a golden calf. And you guys know the golden calf story. And offer sacrifice unto the idol and rejoice in the works. Now, this is another, when we get into our forms of worship, offered sacrifice. We're going to get into that later, though. I don't want to bring that up now. Unto the idol and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Watch this, 42. Here's our verse. Then God turned and gave them up to worship. Here it is. The host of heaven. Now, right here it says worship, right? But what do we know that this word actually means? They actually served. See, that brings a new twist into the golden calf story, because serving in a priestly form of worship means to offer sacrifices. Come on and go with me here. You see the definition there. That's very scary, isn't it? To know that when you do not serve Yah, see, here's the thing. People say, I'm not running around here worshiping and serving some God like that. No, but you're serving him. You're serving those gods. How? Because you are making a sacrifice for that thing that you wouldn't make for Yah himself. Come on and go with me here. How many times do you sacrifice and do things for other people that you wouldn't do for Yah? Hello, somebody. Look what it says further. As it is written in the book of the prophets, O ye house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Molech, and the star of your god Remphan, figures which ye made to worship. Now, did I miss this verse? Hold on. Oh, maybe it's a different now. Well, I didn't give you that passage. I just gave you verse 42, but we're going to do a little quick study here to find out what this word worship actually means. Look at it. You see that? So that we know that even though it's proskuneo, guys, the form of proskuneo, the manner in which a person proskuneos depends on the context. In this particular context, it was a service done. It was an offering of a sacrifice. In another context, it was bringing a gift. In a different context, it was wanting Yeshua to come from a lofty place to a lower place. Mm-hmm. So do you guys see these different words? These three different words for worship have totally three different meanings and usages and ways that they can be applied to the believer. Now watch this. Based on your three definitions now, let's do a quiz. Romans 1, verse 9. For God is my witness, whom I serve with my spirit in the gospel of his Son, that without ceasing I make mention of him always in my prayers. Is there any word in this passage that could mean worship?
Serve.
Awesome. Now watch this. We think Paul is talking about what? Maybe preaching, maybe starting a church or whatever. This particular word here is. Which word is serve? What's the Greek?
I think it's proskuneo. Hold on, let me check.
What's the number? What's the number?
G3000.
You see that? So we can almost be 100% sure that whenever we see the word serve, it's going to be serving in a priestly manner, offering a sacrifice. So what sacrifice was Paul offering?
A good question.
When he says, I serve with my spirit.
He said the forms.
Now we got the meaning. Now we have to interpret it. What's the correct interpretation of Romans 1:9? Because we know what this word means. To serve in a priestly offering, a sacrificial offering. How can we let Scripture interpret Scripture in this case?
I'm looking at the biblical outline. It's also given a definition of to minister, to serve, to minister either to gods or to men, and use alike slave. And so he's like,
what verse are you seeing that in?
It's Romans 1:9, but I click on the word they're using for G3000, and I'm looking at that biblical outline of of all the different options, because it says perform a sacred service, to offer gifts, to worship God, and observance of rites of priests. But here it says, I'm thinking it's applying more to minister. To minister, like he's serving in the duty of ministering to people, to building up people like that. And also it's a verb, and its grammatical cases in a present active indicative, so he's always doing it.
Now watch this now. Mark, keep that page open, whatever you have. And I want everyone to turn to Hebrews 10:2. See, guys, this is how people come to the wrong conclusion on various scriptures, because they're not looking at definitions 1, and they don't really understand what the text is meaning when it uses certain words. A very important key that we're teaching at Rehoboth here, for you to come to the proper conclusions. Okay, Hebrews 10:1 says this: for the law having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never, with those sacrifices which they offered year by year, continually make the comers thereunto perfect. Why? For then would they not have ceased to be offered? He's answering the question. Would they not have ceased to be offered? In other words, just because they couldn't make them perfect, the writer is saying, does that mean you stop offering them? Because that the worshipers, once purged, should have had no more conscience of sins. This word worshipers here. So now we have to find out, well, who's he talking about? Who's he talking about here? Context. But in those sacrifices, that's past tense, yeah? There is a remembrance again made of sin every year. We can go on and on to the doctrine. I just want to show you the word, the worshipers here. Now, based on what we know in the context and the biblical outline, is he talking about ministering to people? How is this word worshipers being used here? It's tough, isn't it? Studying the Bible is not all that easy, is it? It's not something you can just pick up and do, is it? No. We gotta work at this, man. You gotta work. You gotta fight. You gotta scratch. You gotta claw. You gotta give your mind. You gotta devote your time. Or we'll come to the wrong conclusion on what the words actually mean. This is why I don't just let anybody tell me what the word of Yah means. This is why you shouldn't either. So we said there were 12 different words, guys. We only got through 3 of them tonight. Okay? We got through 3, which is good. But we got more to go. Here's another one. Here's another one that just popped up. Here's another one. Latrion. Here's another one. And look at the difference. G what? Okay. It's similar to G3000. Not only in the Greek number, but also in the spelling here. Okay, so we have Latreo, but here is Latrion. All right.
Screen share. Oh, it's on the bottom.
Yeah.
Where's the tree on?
It's similar to the one on the screen. G3000. But, you know,
There it is.
it's similar. But if you look at the verses, notice it's saying instead of serve, it's talking about the service. They shall put you out of the synagogue. The time cometh that whosoever kills you will think that he doeth God service. Romans 9:4. Who are Israelites? To whom pertaineth the adoption, the glory, and the covenants, the giving of the law, and the service of God. So it's a slightly different kind of usage. Paul says, presenting your bodies a living sacrifice is your reasonable service. So it's a little different kind of usage here. Here's another one that's popping up. We're going to get into all these, guys. Notice the way you know and tell, the Greek word here. So we went through words 1 through 3. We're going to pick up on number 4 next week. We will pick up on number 4 if Yah says the same next week. If Yah says the same, guys, that's a big grace dependence. And I hope you learned something a little bit tonight about how important these words are. Look at all these. I haven't even given you all the verses. And then there are 12 different words. There's 12 different words, guys. I've only given you 3. So when you read in the scriptures, they worshiped him or they did this and use the word of worship, the question you have to ask, not just with the word worship, but anything, what you mean? What do you mean by what you're saying? We got to learn that. I tried it again tonight with you, but no one used it. No one said, Pastor, what do you mean? So, to the question, should we worship Yah, Abba Yah, or Yeshua? What's going to be your initial answer or response?
What do you mean worship?
You gotta say, what do you mean by worship? Why? I've just given you 3 different words that mean worship, and you don't know which one I'm talking about. Why? Because I wasn't specific enough with my question. So by the end of this series, guys, you're going to be a guru at not only what worship means, but also being able to answer this all-important question. Should we worship Yeshua, Abba Yah, and the Ruach? Because by the end of this, you're going to be able to answer your own question. Because you're going to know exactly which worship is being used in each passage. And I'm going to deal specifically with those passages. I've already dealt with one in Matthew 2:11 and some others in Matthew, I think it was 8:2. When they came to worship Yeshua as a baby, they were showing deferential respect. Now, does that mean that that is the same kind of worship that Abba Yah receives? We're going to find out. And we're going to let the scriptures speak instead of us. Instead of coming to a logical conclusion, well, if Yeshua receives deferential respect, shouldn't the Father also? Okay, well, does the text tell us that? That's the question we're dealing with. You can come with all of their logic, which has its place, but we can't rely on logic only to interpret Scripture. Scripture interprets Scripture line upon line, precept upon precept. All right. Any questions? Any comments? Anything anyone would like to share? Now, here's the problem. How does this impact my everyday life? Here's how. You think you're showing honor and worshiping in spirit and in truth, where you could just be simply showing respect. And the question is that enough? Do we satisfy the requirements that Yah requires us to worship him with? Is it enough to just show him deferential respect? Is it enough to prostrate ourselves? Some of us don't even do that. But what did Yeshua say? He said, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts, they're far from him. Showing deferential respect does not require your heart. Bringing someone a gift does not require your heart to be in it at all. That's how it impacts your life. Because on the low, you could be giving something else your heart and simply giving Yah lip service. And that, my friend, is one indication that you have a salvific issue. In other words, that you have salvation issues, where Yeshua said it. These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are nowhere with me. They were showing gestures of respect to Yeshua. So we got to be careful that if we think we're worshiping, what kind of worshiping are you doing? No questions? All right, guys. Blessings. Shalom to you. Looking forward to hearing from Brother Mark again this coming Shabbat. I will be in the building. Lord Abba says the same. Meet me there at 9:30, guys. We're going to walk through the farmer's yard market. We're going to meet where we park. We're going to pray. And we're going to disperse, and we're going to share invitations to come and hear the truth in a weary land, in a land that is dying of thirst for truth and righteousness. So meet me at Shabbat, Thursday, 9:30 a.m. And I look forward to seeing you all there. Blessings. Lila Tov, to each and every one of you.
Lila Tov.
Blessings.
Blossoms. We gonna blossom, sister. We gonna blossom too. Yeah, I love it. Yes.
So how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing better. Oh my God. Hold on. Let me end the broadcast real quick.